Hello. Hello and welcome to the No Excuses podcast, episode 51. Today is Friday the 13th of January and it's a lovely sunny day and it's quite windy. So we've got washing on the line, hoping it dries because we've had a lot of wet weather here recently, like most people in the UK. And I do know that the River Severn in Worcester, it's last time I looked, about 24 hours ago, the river was still rising and breaking banks and causing disruption to travel and to people's lives over there. It tends to be an annual event, and some years are worse than others, obviously, but keep an eye on that. Yeah, so today's Friday, and I think it's a couple of weeks since I last recorded. I'll come on and talk to you about what I've been up to and what I've been working on, which for me is quite a few different things. I can't remember whether I said my name's Anne or this is my third attempt at recording. So, welcome to the No Excuses podcast, if I haven't already said that. Everything I talk about is down below, and I try and put links to everything that I mention as well. If I don't, just give me a shout out and I will. Just to remind you that you can contact me on Ravelry, Instagram or by email, and all those things are listed below, and that we have a mail running at the moment, which is the jump along, and I'll put the hashtag on the screen for you. And I normally run 2 mails at a time. I think I'm coming up to my 2nd anniversary of podcasting, podiversary I think they call it. And I was trying to think of something different, but I've decided that I'm not going to think of anything different. I'm just going to have a Smash the Stash mail running all the year. And the rules are going to be fairly loose, and you know, I have to trust you when you put things in anyway. Because this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work through quite a bit of my stash this year and stop buying and adding to it and not making a lot of leeway with it, because I have got some lovely yarn in the loft. So I'll put the hashtag down here, and the only what I'm going to say to you is you can put your project in there if you've had the yarn more than 6 months, or it is the yarn that you're using that's more than sort of 50% of the garment or whatever, blanket or whatever, is taken from stash of more than 6 months as well. So you can buy new yarn and mix it with older yarn, but that's my only rule really, and I'll put that on Ravelry and I will open it very soon, and that will run to the end of November or about mid-November probably, so join in. But yeah, there's a jump along as well. So the Smash the Stash doesn't limit you on any size or item, whereas the jump along is about a garment that is made for you that is an adult size. I'm including vests that sit over blouses and shirts and other jumpers, but not those that sit under like cami tops, or it has sleeves. So it's all very, very, very simple. Oh, what am I wearing? Well, I'm wearing my City Limits. This is the 3rd one I made, and this is made from mainly Rusty Ferret yarns. Hello Bertie. And it goes from browns and greys at the bottom, well, it's top down, it's knitted, from rusts and with a bit of yellow and red in at the top, and orange is really rather than rust, to be honest. And I'm really pleased with it. It's getting quite tatty. As you know, I wear my City Limits every day in the winter. I throw them in the wash every couple of weeks. I've got 3 of them, and I'm thinking of making a 4th because I no longer have the boxy that I threw away last year, which had big holes in the arms, because I've got lots of other wool to knit things up with. So once something gets too tatty or starts getting holes in it, I will I tend to wear them till they're falling apart, but I've got to get to the stash somehow, you know, make excuses and all that. Oh sorry, no excuses. Yeah, so today I want to talk about an item that I've finished, which I'll go well, nearly finished, which is my Felix. I've got talk about 12 cast-ons I'm doing with Untitled Yarns podcast. I, amongst many, are taking part. I've got a little bit of incoming from stuff that I ordered last year before you start going, oh, well, you know, and what I've been up to, which isn't a lot. So, I'll pause there. Right, well, I showed you this. Oh, no, I put a photograph, didn't I, on Instagram of me wearing it with, you know, threads hanging down my neck. I think that one's still there. I don't know if I've finished the neck off. I may have done, because I tried it on and decided it needed some alterations. So this is the Felix sweater by Amy Christoffers. I think her brand is Savoury Knitting, and this is knitted in 2 strands of mainly Yarnworthy BFL 4-ply, and then her Suri Alpaca in each or green. So it's nice, and it's got it's got a fluffy halo to it. My first issue with the jumper was it was a bit long. I didn't mind that actually, but I could feel the cast off around my big bum and belly, and I didn't like that. It was when you're trying to take it off and things, it was getting in the way. Now I'd done an Icelandic cast off, which is supposed to have a bit of stretch in it, but I think it's more decorative than stretchy in my experience. Don't know where my voice went then. So I looked at doing the one where you've got a yarn over in it, and I did mean to look up, is that Judy's Magic Cast Off, or anyway, you do you yarn over the next stitch and take the yarn and the previous stitch back over like you do a standard cast off, but you're taking 2 strands together, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. Now that would have given me a soft enough and wide enough cast on, but it was fluting quite badly, and I'd already gone down a needle size to the needle I'd used for the rib. So I'd undone a couple of rows of rib, and I'm aware that sometimes if you've only got a few rows of rib, it will flip towards you, you know. But in the end, I did a sewn cast off, and it looks nice, I think. I don't know if you can see that, and it's very flexible, but it's not fluting, and if it is, it's not fluting by very much. I can't really, you know how bad I am at showing things on the screen. Now, it's a very easy. I looked at Stacey's of Very Pink Knits tutorial again just to refresh my mind, but it is a very easy thing to do. Now I initially tried to do this because I thought the sewn cast off, since I discovered it, I didn't realise that the sewn cast off was so easy. Since I discovered it a couple of months ago, I've been wanting to use it again. I used it on a scarf, I think last year, but because of this Suri Alpaca, it was pulling, and I thought, oh, you know, because you need quite a lot of yarn to go all the way around this. I mean, you know, this is for a big girl, and it's quite a sizable hem. Sorry, it's falling off onto the floor. But because I'd already knitted it up and undone it and then cast off twice with it, the Suri Alpaca wasn't quite as fluffy. It lost a tiny bit of fluffiness, and I found it much easier to do the sewn off cast off with. So yeah, so I did it with all 3 strands of yarn, because that could have been an option, is I could have done it with just the 2 of the BFL, but I decided to do it with all 3, and it worked very well. It took me a few hours to do. I say a few, probably a couple of hours to do, and I left myself far too much yarn. So I was sitting there very gently going like this, pulling it through and each stitch, you know. But I think it was worth it. It's worth it because it's going to make it so much more comfortable. Now the other issue I had with it, and I haven't resolved this yet, and I will hopefully do that this weekend, is I've done an Icelandic cast off. You can't really see it because of the mixed yarn, but it's like a rolled edge, which is very pretty. It's very nice, and it's got a little bit of elasticity in it, more than a standard 1 over 1 over 1 over cast off. But what I didn't like is the sleeves were a bit too long for me, because I think the whole thing, I picked it up, was grown. But also I'd done the sleeves my standard length, so which is only about 13 inches for me, but because the neck is quite deep and the armholes are deeper, I hadn't allowed for that because I hadn't tried it on, because I'm a lazy devil. But also I didn't like the fact they were loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo the ribbing. I'm going to do the ribbing and undo some of the stocking stitch, put the ribbing back in. I think I'll take out, I don't know if you can see the colour change. Oh, you can't really. I've run out of, they're not identical, but I've run out of one yarn and I had to go into another, so the sleeves aren't the same. But I'm going to take a bit down, about an inch and a half off the length of the sleeve, and then I'm going to do a quick like 1 in 4 decrease or 1 in 5 decrease on the last row of stocking stitch before I do the rib. Might not be that great, but you know what I mean. I'm going to lose a few stitches, so I like my cuff to sit on my cuff, and I want this to be long sleeved. This is 3/4 sleeve, and I don't mind it like that because that's how I wanted it, but I want this to be a bit more snuggly. I did think about keeping the sleeve length, because it would be nice to tuck your hands into, because I keep getting the cold hands and feet at this time of year. But if I go to wash my hands or anything, I'm not very good anymore at pushing my sleeves up my arms, and they just get wet, and I didn't want that. You know, you've got 3 strands of yarn here, going 3 strands of wool. Sorry, Ginny. Getting wet. I didn't want that, so I'm picking grey hairs out off the top of it. I wonder whose these are from. So yeah, so that's my Felix. Right, I'm going to go and get the next thing now. Right, we're back. I've just put together all the stuff that I've started for the 12 cast-ons, and I will put them onto Instagram as well, at least the names of them. Every year, Ange from the Yarn and Yarns podcast on YouTube, and I'll put a link to her down below. She runs the 12 cast-ons, and this year you can cast on up to 12 before the end of January. That's the usual rules. And normally Ange does 1 a day, but she's been poorly, as those of you who follow her, and I know a number of you do. So she's a little bit behind her usual schedule, but that matters not, because she needs to get better. She's had a chest ear infection. But I know a lot of you have been taking part. I joined in last year and I made 9 things, which I meant to go and look at what I'd done last year, but I completed 8, and it's only the Advent stockings, mini stockings, that I didn't finish. I did 2 immediately and cast it on and didn't touch them again. Looked at them a couple of times, as you do. What's in this project bag? Oh yeah, okay. Do you do that? So I'm not going to show you the worsted boxy by Huggy Locatelli, because I've just done a few more rounds on that, and that will grow slowly. And I was using that as my evening knits, but Tom said to me, I gave his mum a chunky cardigan and a shawl, and she's quite cold, trying to save on heating bills, you know, and this, you know, they're keeping active to save putting the heating on. She's 80, same age as my mum, and Tom thought it'd be nice to knit her a cowl, because he's seen me wearing mine. Oh, I haven't told you about my scarf. I'll do that in a minute. And so he said, can I get it done before the warm weather comes? Obviously, it makes sense, doesn't it? So I'm knitting on the Moon Garden Cowl by Ruth of Knitterarium. I can't remember whether I'd started this before, but it's got a V shape at the front that sits in the neck of your cardi or your jumper, and then there is a stripe pattern, which I'm doing at the moment, and then a different lace pattern, and then stripe pattern, and then rib. So I've done one of these. I think I wore it not long ago on the podcast. And I'm enjoying it. I'm just trying to work out. I will use all the pattern stitches that she recommend that she's put in the pattern, but I might not make it quite as long for Kath. So what I've done is I've gone through my minis and had a look to pick up some of the colours. This is Belgravia by Biff Sugar, and it's got a little bit of denim blue in it occasionally. So I found that and thought, match. So instead of using the other colour, which is quite similar to this, which I'll use in the main lace section, I thought I'd pick out the 2 striped sections in a contrasting colour, and I think that might look nice. And it's also a nice use for the minis, but I only want to use half my mini because I want to put the rest in a blanket. I like to leave bits behind every project I do, so I've got bits for blankets when I can decide on a blanket pattern, that is. So that's coming along nicely. I need to do this, supposed to be about 5 inches before you go on to the next section, and that's probably about 2.5, nearly 3 maybe. I might do another inch and then change colour again and do the middle section. So that's coming along nicely. And then I've got the Rikke, or the Rikke, R-I-K-K-E hat by Sarah Young. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and all I've done so far is some of the brim. The whole hat is garter. You just do the brim on a smaller needle, and I'm using 2. It's just gone on the floor. 2 thicknesses of this Cascade 220, and it's the Peruvian Highland wool that they do, and I think it's called Rusty Heather. I've put it on Ravelry. I've actually caught up with Ravelry. I've done quite a bit of work on there last week. The boiler man came to service the boiler, and so I couldn't sit in here because we couldn't have heating on for an hour. I went in the lounge, kept myself out the way, and did quite a bit of work on Ravelry, catching up, putting photographs up there, etc. Not the things I made. I'm terrible at doing that, but yeah. So that's the next cast on. And then I'm doing, well, again, I'm not having very good luck with pronunciation recently. This is the Naname, or the name, N-A-N-A-M-E, Naname scarf by Emily Baldwin, and I'm doing this for my friend Elaine. She said she wanted a scarf with some green in, so what I've got is again, I sought out a mini. Now I've done all this before, and I've undone it because I think it was a bit wide with the pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I've just looked up reversible stitches on YouTube because I couldn't find my stitch library. I don't think it includes reversible ones in there anyway. My stitch Bible thing book. Oh, I don't know. So I've done that in orange. I've done some stripes crossover, and I'm now going to do. This is Rosemary by Attic Spin Dye. So now I'll just grab you the other colours to show you. I've got a very pale yellow. Now I think this is called Duckling by Mothie and the Squid. And I've got this green, darker green, that tones quite nicely with that. Things have to go for me. I have to get the right tones together. And then I found this, which is, I can't remember what I used it in, but I do like it. I can't remember what colour it is or anything, and it's gorgeous. It's got yellows, greens, it's got the yellow from there in, so I'm going to put them two together because I don't think that necessarily goes with that. So I'm going to put that either side of that, and then that goes with that because it's got the same colour in, and it also goes with that. I don't know why I'm doing that on the floor. So, you know, all in all, I think I've got enough yarn for a long scarf. What else? Yeah, and I've got a little bit of the orange left, but again I want to keep about half the orange because I want to put it in a blanket. So that's my scarf for my friend Elaine. I would have liked to have finished that for her birthday, which is next week, but I won't. I'll have to give it to her the next time I see her. But I said to her, do you want it for warmth or as an accessory? And she said more as an accessory. Oh, I mean, to be honest, I don't mind. She just wears it in the house. She decides she doesn't like my colour choice, but I know she wears those colours. She doesn't wear such a warm palette as me. She can wear cooler colours, but she can also wear an orange, and it looks nice on her. So I like to have a think about what clothes she's got that she might want to wear it with, because she does love her scarves. She's got many, many scarves. And then finally, not a lot to show, but some twisted rib in, and these are going to be the Flock of Birds fingerless gloves for my friend Nick, one of the tenor girls. And this is an unknown colourway that Sal gave me, I think. So this is nice. If I've got the name, I'll put it on Ravelry. Useless, aren't I? So I got little flecks of colour in. I won't be introducing any of the colours. I know Nick wears mainly black. She wants these for the house, while she's doing her own crafting. So I'll need to crack on with those and get them done before I see them at the beginning of February. Got all these things to do. They won't get done, will they? Now the idea of the 12 cast-ons isn't to just go mad and put a load of stress on yourself. As I've said before, I'm not very good at having lots of things on the needles because I like to get something done and then start something else. So I find it a bit, I was all right doing these lots, but now I'm finding it a little bit more, I'm feeling a bit more under pressure to find other things to cast on, because I want to do at least 9. And I've made a list here of 11, which I'll talk about in a minute, the other ones. And I've chosen some patterns, but other things are like a blanket, and I can't decide on a pattern for that. So I'm putting myself, I wouldn't say pressure, but I'm I dreamt about minis. And that's what it was like the other day, because I'm excited about it, but also it's matching that pattern to the right yarn. I find that so hard, especially if the yarn's an expensive one, like a lot of them are these days. But I've had equal trouble with commercial yarn. So I'm going to put these lot away and come back and tell you what I'm wearing. Right, I'm back again. I had to get that ball of wool off the floor before I backed over it. Yeah, I forgot about it and backed over it. Now, what I forgot to mention, and I know it doesn't go with my jumper, it's clashy rather than matchy. This is the Match and Move scarf by Martina Behm, and it's knitted in 3 yarns from Rusty Ferret, which I think go together very well. It is, you look at the pictures, it's got triangular, you start out at the point and you make triangles in contrasting colours, as many as you want, and these two went together. All the details are on Ravelry of the colours and that in here. So you've got like green, neon green, and got beautiful, the speckles catch the colours in the green, and then you've got a grey here, it's also got a bit of green in, and then it goes to a point there. As you know, I'm not the best person to be a model for these things, but I wear this quite a lot because it scrunches up really well. It's like it's a very, very long scarf for somebody who's only 4 foot tall. It's probably about 8-9 foot long actually, but I'm thinking I might make another one because I enjoyed making this, and I think it's a good use of like 3 or 4 skeins or minis and things. So yeah, so this is the Match and Move by Martina Behm, and I made it quite some time ago, but it is one of my most grabbed for because it's not very wide, you know. It depends on what you're doing, doesn't it, really? Anyway, so that's the what am I wearing part 2. I was talking about the contrast book last time. Beautiful, beautiful book. It's about 260 pages long, and it's a big, heavy thing. And I'd said to you about me writing to Liner, and they just said, well, you know, if you want they tantamount said, the digital copy is a separate product. Take photographs of what you want to use, which I wasn't very impressed with. So I thought, oh, basically, sod you. But unbeknown to me, one of you very lovely ladies, after listening to me griping about it, and I've said many times I do not regret buying the book, but I don't know whether I would have. I knew it was big and heavy, but I didn't realise how difficult it was for me to use. But one of you lovely ladies decided to write to Liner on my behalf and point out to them something I'd missed really, which is not everybody is asking for a copy of it. You know, I've got a particular issue, which is why I need a copy. I wouldn't be asking for a digital copy as well if it wasn't for the fact I was struggling to use the book. Anyway, they responded very quickly to her. And this lady's, you know, in the United States, she's many, many miles from me. And they said, let us have her email. Well, that was over a week ago, and I didn't hear anything. So I wrote to them and said, because she obviously let me know and said, you know, I hope you don't mind. But I said, no, thank you very much. You know, it's very, very kind of you to stick up for me. Anyway, I wrote back to them yesterday or the day before, and I said, you know, this. I've written to you before, and one of my subscribers of my podcast has written to you. It's not like I'm an influencer. They don't got to worry about, you know, me going on social media and moaning about it. It's going to be noticed by too many. But I said to them, I think it's very poor. Your accessibility, you're not responding very well in this day and age type of thing. And, you know, I'm not asking, I've already paid you my money. I've bought the book. I'm happy with the book, with the patterns. I can't use them. I want to use them now. And the same person that had responded, I've got the same name, to the lady in America, wrote to me and said, here it is. Have it. Have the charts as well, separate document, PDF versions. We're really sorry, and that we've learnt from this that, you know, obviously they need to be more careful. When you've got somebody responding to an email and you're a company, I suppose you've got a standard policy, and most of the time they just stick to standard policy, which is fair enough. But they hadn't taken account of, or maybe I hadn't put it strong enough in my first email to them, that I'm having difficulty, but I thought I had. Anyway, it's all sorted, thanks to the lady in the north of the US. Thank you very, very much. You know who you are. And I now have the book in PDF form. I mean, even that, to be honest, a book, well, don't lick your fingers, but you turn it over and in many ways it's much easier to use than a PDF. The PDF part comes in when you want to print it, so you can print so many pages now, which I have done. I'll show you in a minute. Or I'll talk about what I've done, not show you, obviously. But also, you don't have the same, a PDF doesn't have the same aesthetic quality of a book. So, yeah, I'm still pleased I've got the book, because the book will guide me as to which patterns I want to do. Because the book has got several photographs, very, very nice photographs of each of the items. So, having said that, getting back now, backpedaling to my 12 cast-ons. The things I've yet to cast on. Well, I wanted to make, and I'm looking around me because I thought I'd got a bit of a sample of the yarn. I'd wanted to make the cargill jumper by Rebecca Clow. Now, that is a nice top down, and it's got what she calls a dip stitch, and it looks like a little baby fan, where you pull yarn up from previous rows to make a sort of a loop, and then, yeah, so it's top down, and you knit it in the round, split for the underarms, and then knit it in the round down the body, etc., etc. So standard way of construction, and I decided I was going to use my Forest Aran from King Cole in it. Now it's a mixture of, I think from memory, wool, polyester, nylon and viscose, but it's slightly slubby because I think it's partly recycled, and I'd done the cast on. I did the first few rows of increases, including the special stitch that's in the pattern that gives it its look, but it wasn't looking right with the slubby yarn. It wasn't looking pretty enough, nice enough, and it also was hard to do because, to be honest, I think the Forest Aran feels more like a cotton, very dry to the touch, not like a wool at all. So I ripped that back while watching Ange, funnily enough. So I decided then to look for another yarn to do the cargill sweater, because I do want to do it, but I haven't come up with any combinations. The only thing I can think of, because it's a DK weight, is I've got the Swamp Thing, which is green, from Midwinter Yarns, and that would be nice. But I've already got my Swamp Monster cardigan, which I haven't worn this winter, and I've also got the Blossom Jumper, which is dark green. They're not a dissimilar colour to the Midwinter yarn, but does that matter? You know, it's a totally different pattern. It'll look very, very different. So that's a contender. I'm not buying any yarn for it. By the way, Rebecca, I haven't watched it yet. I have subscribed to her. She's on the Cray podcast, or the Creabea, or the Creebee. I think it's Cray. Please correct me, somebody. So I was thinking of doing that, which then leaves me the question, what do I use the Forest Aran for? And I think I'm just going to knit up a fairly plain, I might put a bit of texture in it, a jumper as a DK weight, because when I started I did a swatch and it felt much better as a DK. And also I think the yarn will get thinner. I don't think it's that strong. So if I do it as a DK, it should last longer. You know me, I like things to last and not to pill and not to wear, and yet they do wear on me, you know. So I've got a cargill sweater to find some yarn for, and I've got the Forest Aran, which I'm going to knit as a DK, to find a pattern for, and I've got a couple of options. I've put a search into Ravelry, and I don't want to pay for another pattern. I've got some things myself that I already own, and one of those was the Sunday jumper, which is, let me see, I've printed the pattern out for the Sunday and the cargill. Now the Sunday is, I haven't written who it is. I'll put the name down below, but there isn't, I purposefully don't print out photographs if I can help it. And it's a tunic style sweater, slightly oversized with a V-neck, which I think is more flattering on me. My only concern about the cargill is because it's high necked and it looks thicker than, it's got an all over pattern. It might look a bit too busty on me, so I'll start it anyway, because I do like the look of it, and I'm not going to get my head around putting a V-neck in it, no way. So I printed out the Sunday pattern, which I should know, and I'll put the name of the person there, and I'd like to do that. But again, I don't think it's going to be doing, I'll show you the yarn I'm thinking of doing that in a minute. I'm going around the houses again, aren't I? And then because I've now got the patterns to print from Liner magazine, I am going to do the Pearly Beach, so I've printed that out as well. I only print the minimum pages that I think I'm going to need, and I've printed the green crest one that I showed you last time, which has got the triangle, I think it's asymmetric slightly, and it's got cables at the bottom, and that's done in a DK weight as well, I think. Yeah. Now I was thinking of doing the green crest in my lovely Zakami Advent, but if I use the Zakami Advent, and there aren't many, I won't use that much in a shawl. I mean, it's a decent sized shawl. I think it takes Oh yeah, it takes 900 metres. So yeah, I could consider using the Zakami yarn for that shawl, and it'll be striped and the cables won't show up as well. So you know, this is where you start thinking. You think, well, what about this? What about that? You think, I've got to make the best use of everything. Sometimes you have to just dive in and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm not very good at doing that at the moment. I'd like to do a cardigan as well, and I'd like to do a blanket. But the pearly beach jumper, because I've jumped again, will be done in my Coincidently crafts yarn. I've made a decision about that. I can't use it for the cargill because it's not double knitting, and I don't want to buy any fluff to put with it because I can't have everything being fluffy. Not really. And then, actually, this is one I could do, which is the Querencia, and that was in the contrast book. I'll put a photograph up. That's DK weight as well, and I like that because it's got a plain blackened sleeves and it's got a little bit of, I think it probably looks like it might be twisted stitch pattern on the front. Now can you see from my waffling just how mixed up and confused I am about everything? Go back to the Sunday tunic. I think, oh, it's in a light fingering. Oh no, it's done in a lace weight and a fingering, so I think I'd get away with using a double knitting. And because it's a tunic, I'm going to show you the yarn I'm thinking of doing it in. I haven't got the right head on today. I've got the wrong head out of the wardrobe this morning. When I spoke to you last time, you know, I am determined to not buy anywhere near as much yarn. I can't say I won't buy any because I know I will, but I want to buy much less and make really reasoned decisions about what I buy. But one thing I did buy, which is a total indulgence, was I bought these from Hannah of the Camel's Yarn. Now Hannah lives in Camelford, which is on the River Camel. If you're wondering where she gets her name from, she doesn't live in the desert. And these are her luxury DK, so that's double knitting. And I think I bought them, I've got two of each of these, and I bought them to work as a stripe, either that way or maybe that way, but it doesn't matter when I've got three of them, doesn't it? Now this one is called Fireside, and it looks like a merino single a bit, doesn't it? It's very fluffy, it looks very soft, it's plump, and it's, I wouldn't say it was high twist, it's softly twisted. And the mix of yarn is 40% superfine alpaca, 40% merino and 20% silk. Now I think the alpaca and the silk will give this the strength, and hopefully it'll be something that I can wear on a regular basis. I don't mean like every day, but it just, oh, it feels so lovely and soft. And I want to make something, I want to do it justice. It was expensive, and I want to do it justice. So that's the Fireside. This is the rosewood colour, and this got a hint of the orange in there. This is one of her previous collections, but I can't remember which collection it was. And then this final one, which is a bit purpley and grey, is called Witch Elm. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. I mean, even a bit of black or dark brown in there as well. I think it's dark brown and grey and different hues of purple. And I want to knit with these. I mean, you know, last in, first out. So I'm driving myself up the wall trying to match patterns with yarn. And I want to cast on all the things, and I can't cast on all the things until I make a decision. Somebody send, I just need help. Maybe I need to do like Ange does and get some cards, or do you know, one of those fortune tellers that we used to do in the playground. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I caught a fishy by its toe. If you've got any ideas for a double knit jumper in either the forest pale pink colourway, and I'd put it away instead of showing you the little sample I'd done to prove to myself it would work on double knitting, a double knitting gauge. It's a pale pink. It doesn't have any other colours in it. But it's a bit slubby. And then I've got this gorgeous stuff, and I want to do stripes. And I think so if I take a plain jumper, and there's also the Arco Iris that Hoagie Locatelli's done, which is like semi-fitted, and that would be good for this as well. And that's double knitting. So, and that's got like a decorated rib, and I bought that pattern when it was first out. I don't know why, but I thought that was an Aran weight. But anyway, so that might be useful. So one of those two. Yeah, well, first world problems. I know. It doesn't matter, does it? So that's all my knitting. I mean, that's, basically I've been enjoying myself. I've been enjoying the first few cast-ons, now driving myself up the wall, trying to decide on what to do next. And of course I'm always thinking about the yarns that are still in the loft, and I don't want them going in the loft because I got some stuff out like my Coincidently yak, which I think is merino yak and silk. That might be a 60-20-20 mix actually, and I'm hoping the yak and the silk will give that merino a bit of strength as well. That's much a higher twist, and so yeah, it's a lovely colour. So yes, so that's it really in terms of knitting. Do you feel as exhausted as I feel? I'm just driving myself mad. And I shouldn't really. I should just cast on and accept it. The main thing is, does it fit me? And am I happy with it? And sometimes you don't know till you get near the end, and I don't want to be undoing stuff, this gorgeous yarn. It's nice and fluffy. I don't want to ruin that plumpness by undoing it again and knitting it up again. So I might do a little swatch just to see what size needles I want to cast on, and then I can work out what size to make. Oh, look at me getting all technical. I know some of you will do that every time, and you've knitted beautiful things and they all fit you. But, I just want to get started. Anyway, so that's it for the knitting, and when my first club comes in February, but I'll probably podcast before then, I will show you that. What have I been up to? Well, I had a nice long chat with Sal on Zoom, Sal in South Wales, and she said, oh, I'm going to send you some more things, because I dug out the stuff for the worsted boxy, which is a lot of what I'm doing 2 4-ply yarns together to get the worsted weight gauge. Well, I haven't even swatched for that. And she said, well, I saw you talking about those, I'm going to send you some more. I've got some more. I was like, thank you very much, and some of them will be put into giveaways. So she sent me some lovely things, including a couple of gorgeous project bags as well, and a bag that it was all in. So thank you, Sal. But one thing she did send me is this. Now you may have seen these. This is like a for transferring onto, I'm putting the lifeline in or transferring onto a cable or switching needles and things. And the idea is that they're open-ended, and you put your needle, probably doesn't work for very thick needles, but you put your needle tip into there and you can slide your stitches. But as Sal said, sometimes you go in back that way to put it onto the cable, then it could come off. I mean, this is a 375, so it's not that big. But yeah, very, very useful. I think I haven't had to use it yet because I'm only using tiny things. But you get a good length as well, which I would suspect you shouldn't cut because you might need it one day. But the thing I like about it best is it feels lovely, this case. It's like soft and rubbery, and it's so tactile that I've had to put it away because I keep playing with it. Gorgeous colours as well. I don't know what brand it is, but it is well made. This is well made, and I do like the colour of that. So thank you very much, Sal. That's going to be very, very useful indeed. Oh, yeah, I need to put this down before I sit and absently-mindedly stroke a piece of nice things in front of you. Tom's mum says she likes the feel of an aubergine, so we bought her one to stroke. Oh yeah, thank you for that, Sal. Thank you for the yarn and the books and everything. He's a good girl. So, right, let's get on to where I've been doing. Oh, well, not a lot. I've been out for any meals. We got rid of the Christmas stuff and now I'm trying to cut down a bit. I've just had this really weird thing to eat, by the way, before we talk about where I'm going. It's a very mixed up, waffly podcast, sorry. I've had a John West pot, like a pot noodle thing where you add water and then you add the tuna on top when it's all been mixed in. And it was the couscous one, it's spicy couscous, and then you add the little tin that comes with it of tuna when the couscous is inflated, absorb the water. It's a really weird texture. I don't know if I'm mad on couscous anyway, really. In theory I like it, but I couldn't eat all of this. And it was far more calories than I intended to eat. But I ate all the tuna, hopefully, and then Bert couldn't have what was left of the couscous because it had spices in. But I don't think I'd bother buying that. I bought two when I think they might have been new on the market. I bought that one and I bought the curry one as well. Now the curried one might be better because it's with rice, I think, or noodles. I can't remember. As opposed to couscous, so it'll be a different texture. But yeah, because if you're having lunch, I mean, I had that for my brunch, which is a little weird. But when you're having something for lunch, you don't want sandwiches all the time or crackers or toast, you know. So I like to have a variation. Right, finally, and I'll let you go because I've been on the 56 minutes, but I've got a lot to cut out of here, me moving backwards and forwards and picking things up and putting them down and stuff. I went to Redditch with Mum. There was a little bit of a to-do with a man on an island, but that's all gone and I think disappeared. So, but it marked the day a bit, so I couldn't concentrate because I didn't know what was going to happen. And nobody was hurt, the cars didn't touch. He had a fit at me, followed me, flashing his light. I said to him. Anyway, so that marred the day. I couldn't really settle in Redditch because I wanted to see what the outcome was going to be. But we've not heard anything since, and it's been 1.5 weeks. Yeah. Then I don't think I bought anything of significance. You don't buy wool in Redditch anyway because they don't sell it. They used to sell it years ago when the Kingfisher Centre opened and it was Owen. Then they used to do yarn, used to do wool and all sorts of stuff, haberdashery, and it was really nice. But they don't do that anymore. And then on Sunday, we finally had our family tea, which means that me and my sister and my older brother all met up. So there's quite a few of us in the house with our partners, and Ian and Naomi have got 2 grown-up boys. So we had a very noisy tea, basically cheese and biscuits and a few nibbles and things. Very nice. Tom made a ginger cake. And then the only person who doesn't come really is my brother Neil, and that's because he's a long way away in Hastings. But we did see Neil not long before Christmas, so that was nice. Then on Tuesday this week, Wednesday, sorry, I went to Longbridge with Mum, and we had a cup of tea, we had a walk round. Did I buy anything? I don't think I bought anything, but finally found some knickers I think I might buy from Marks and Spencer's. I haven't got my size in stock. They never have them in when you go in the shop. Stock levels generally in shops are not as good in like the everyday stuff. I can't find any fat balls in Wilko for a start, which is one of the reasons I went to Redditch. And then, what did we do? Yeah, Mum went down to Sainsbury's, so I had about 20 minutes looking around on my own, and that was nice. And then I decided I'd go to the loo before we left, and went upstairs, and they've got 2 disabled toilets, because they're massive Marks and Spencer's, and they've got a right transfer and a left transfer, and both of them are out of order. So I went up to one of the assistants, and I said, do you know where the nearest disabled toilet is, because those are both out of order? She said, I'll take you to the staff toilet. And the poor lady, I meant to take her name to write to Marks and Spencer's because she was so good to me. I had to ask her to help me with my coat. I was going to do it myself. Mum was still on the ground floor, I was on the upper floor by then. I was going to do it myself, but I thought it'd be quicker if she takes it off, because she was supposed to be doing her job. I mean, I know it's part of her job, is customer service, but she took me to the staff loo, and that was all good. So she had to wait for me to let me back out the door. And we came home. It was another very dull, wet day. We got home, it was pouring down, and that did make me ache a bit. I don't know what day it was. I had to take a second tablet because of the wet weather, but today it's dry, and I feel much better because of that. And I don't think it's psychosomatic. You never know, do you, with these post-menopausal women? What goes through their minds? You're not supposed to say things like that, Anne, I don't think. Anyway, I'm going to go now. I haven't got any plans for the weekend. I'm seeing my friend Elaine next week with Liz, my 2 school friends. We are going to Merry Hill because it's Elaine's birthday. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope I haven't waffled. I know I've waffled. Should have called it the Waffle Part podcast. I hope New Year's going okay for you. No need to make resolutions. You can if you want to, obviously. I always think, it's nice to make a start on something while I do the 12 cast-ons. They're my resolution, really. So I will love you and leave you, and I will see you in about a fortnight's time. Take care. You know where I am if you want to contact me or ask me about anything I've talked about, or even anything I haven't talked about. Right, you take care. Bye.